Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning. Calling the roll for the Monday, November 22nd Board of Control meeting. It is 11:02. Nan Baker. Here. Dale Miller. Here. Jim Boyle serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones. Right. Nicole English serving as an alternate for Mike Dever. Here. Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Ermin Budish.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the fiscal officer.
Here.
Catherine Takacha.
Here.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I will make a motion to approve the minutes from November 15th. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
No public comment. Let's move on to the first item, please.
First item, BC 2021-671, Department of Development, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in a payment to Cleveland Restoration Society in the amount of $10,000 for operating support to increase community awareness to affirmatively further fair housing for the period November 22nd, 2021, December 31st, 2022, and recommending payment in connection with.
Good morning, Sarah Parks Jackson with the Department of Development. The Cleveland Restoration Society is embarking upon a civil rights marker project, and one of those projects is located actually on Corby, which is in the city of Cleveland Shaker School District. It was the site of a bombing of an African-American home once people found out that they were African-American, and the community rallied around that family to help them rebuild. So we are asking for support to the Cleveland Restoration Society for that particular marker, which would include the additional academic research that's required by the state of Ohio, who actually will, I think it's foundry help, whatever the word is for creating the state marker, and then the installation will occur after that.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-672, Department of Development, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a payment to Destination Cleveland in the amount of $20,000 for general operating support to leverage the hosting of trade shows in Cuyahoga County for the period November 22nd, 2021 through December 31st, 2022, and recommending a payment in connection with said RFP.
No, go ahead. I just have something. Good morning. Paul Herdig for the Department of Development. I'd like to note, although this payment goes to Destination Cleveland, this is not for their general staff operations. They're already well paid through other sources for their work to attract conventions to Cleveland. What we're doing here is we're starting to carry out a project. It's actually something Ted and I worked on with them before COVID. The idea is we're going to have trade shows here in town, and many of these trade shows will involve either workers or business owners who we'd like to attract to come here to Cuyahoga County. So we're going to make additional payments for additional expenses to actually start doing that. The first example is going to be in March of next year. There's a trade show involving about 500 people who are nearing the end of their college studies for cybersecurity. And so we're going to have additional activities to try to persuade these students that they'd like to come here to start their careers working in the IT sector of our industry. We will continue throughout the year as we have different trade show opportunities. For example, if we have a manufacturing trade show, we'll be working with our manufacturing employers to set up things like field trips and other activities to try to encourage other manufacturers to locate their companies here. So we're kind of excited about getting this going after an unexpected delay, and we think it'll really pay off in terms of both talent attraction and hopefully some business attraction in the years to come.
Thank you, Paul. Are there questions from the board on this item? Yes, Councilwoman Baker.
I understand what you were saying, and sounds like a good project. The Destination Cleveland and what they do with the funds that they're given, how is that different? I mean, I know this is a specific project that they weren't anticipating doing, that's what I'm hearing, I guess.
Right.
But $20,000, they can't find that within their own to attract that
Sure.
and encourage them to attract this kind of?
Sure. Thank you, Councilwoman. This is an effort we've been doing jointly between Team Neo, our office, and Destination Cleveland. And so I would say that there's contributions being made across the board here.
Okay.
Absolutely, Destination Cleveland does have staff, but in this particular case, we're actually going to get into some additional expenses beyond the staff. We're actually going to be purchasing, for example, for the first convention, we're going to be purchasing booth space and display space within the convention hall, which would not be a normal expense that would be covered.
Okay.
And so again, we do not plan to duplicate. This will only be for things that are additional costs beyond what's usually done.
Okay, well, that helps. Thank you.
Sure. Any additional questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2021-673, Department of Development, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in a payment to Downtown Cleveland Alliance in the amount of $30,000 for membership fees for the period July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, and recommending the payment in connection with said RFP exemption.
Paul Hurtigan of the Department of Development. Although this is a membership, it's really along the same lines as the operating support the department gives to various organizations to carry out their work in support of economic development. We've been paying a membership to Downtown Cleveland Alliance since 2017 in this amount. We cut it a little bit last year because of COVID, and it supports the work that Downtown Cleveland Alliance does to attract both businesses and residents to come to downtown Cleveland. So it supports that part of their mission. And I should note, because this does come up every year, we make a second payment of $100,000 a year. That payment is different. That payment is for our contribution to the Business Improvement District, the Downtown Improvement District. So we make the $100,000 payment as basically a office tenant or property owner downtown, and this is a more of an operating support payment to Downtown Cleveland Alliance.
Thank you, Paul. Are there questions from the board on this item? Mr. Boyle.
The work they do is really good and really important for our downtown area, and I'm happy to know that the county is supporting that. You see this, the group out there, you know, that they use, that DCA uses, and they're really good and they're really helpful. And I know you get a lot of harder questions from the group and when you come before us, but I just want to say thank you. I think this is a good project.
I can attest, I see them at 6:30 every morning out there vacuuming. They're yeah, good people, so.
Unless they were in my driveway as I'm driving to work, I won't see them at 6. 8:31 maybe.
Any additional comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-674, Department of Development, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Court Community Service in the amount not to exceed $100,000 for litter control services and oversight in selected urban communities for the period January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2023, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Sarah Parks Jackson, Department of Development. This recommendation for Court Community Service, we have used them for a number of years. Court Community Service gets referrals from the court of people who need to pay off their fines. We provide funding to Court Community Service, and those individuals through Court Community Service go to the urban county communities in their commercial areas, and litter control is, to say the least, not really what they do. They do a deep clean of the commercial areas. Our urban county communities love the program. They love that somebody can come out once a year and look at their commercial areas and not just sweep and pick up a few pieces of paper. So we continue to support their efforts.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Are there questions from the board on this item? Mr. Boyle, please.
Not relative to this, but if you can follow up, I did just by happenstance get the service. Some courts are in and some aren't. Whatever, because there are some courts that aren't using it.
Yeah. Well, it's the CDBG eligible community.
Got it. So that
Okay, any additional questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item's approved. Next item. Thanks, sir.
Next item, BC 2021-675, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Environmental Systems Research Institute Incorporated for maintenance on ArcGIS software for the period January 1st, 2016 through February 28th, 2022, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $69,300.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This item is for the annual maintenance to our enterprise licensing for the GIS mapping software that would run January 1st through December 31st of 2022.
Okay, are there questions from the board on this item?
If I may.
Yes,
I'm just
please.
trying to read over here some of the, it seemed a little confusing on some of the payments, like the one that was only for 2 months.
Right.
And I see you say it's something about equitable property value solution
Right.
project isolated to everything else. Is that right?
Right. So that particular item, that $61,008 transaction, was for a specific project and support for that particular project. So that one was for 2 months, which is why, well, a couple of months. That's why I got extended out to February 28th for that particular project. So now coming back to further amend that particular contract to add in the maintenance licenses to carry us out through 22. Fundamentally, this contract was for the enterprise licensing that we've had going on for a number of years, and we just add that specific project to give the GIS team support. So that's why it seems kind of confusing, but maintenance is what we've always had, and we amended it to add just that specific support of the project on there.
All right, and so so does that have anything to do with the extension now, the 10 months?
No, so that project is still within that same
Okay.
time frame to slated to end February, end of February, and then the maintenance for the licenses carries on through the end of the year
Okay, so
of
the
22. Excuse me.
the BC 202168 is what we're carrying to today, is that right? Ending 12/31/2021?
Yes, that's the original. That's the one that we are now amending to extend through 22.
Got it. And if I may ask,
Please.
the, above that, the 12/31/16,
Mhm.
and then we go to a 12/31/17, is that for 3 years? Is that
Yes,
when
we had a 3-year agreement at that time.
Is there a reason why we're only going year to year now?
We've been directed to go on a year-by-year basis.
You elected to do that?
Yes,
Do we pay more or less, or doesn't it matter?
it's about the same.
Okay, those answers, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there additional questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item's approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2021-676, Department of Information Technology, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Sigilant Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $82,443 for security monitoring and archival storage services for the period July 20th, 2021 through January 18th, 2022, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. Firstly, to describe the item, this is a security monitoring of our systems that we have here at the county. It's one of several different security monitoring services that we have. The archival storage is for the archiving of the security events as they've happened. Secondly, to acknowledge and address the tardiness of the item. This was something that we received late in the process, and we unfortunately had several delays on this, including some delays with the vendor on getting documents. As soon as we got the items, and we don't like to present items late, but unfortunately there's become several cases of that lately. So as soon as we get them, we wanted to address them. And so, again, as I stated before, we've made certain changes within how we process items in our department, so we will have hopefully none of things that are this tardy again. But again, wanted to specifically call that out and address it. And so this one we wanted to come, and it's only until January as we are transitioning to other services. So that's why it's only a short time frame for this particular item.
Thank you, Janelle. Questions from the board on this item?
It's amazing.
Yes, please.
That answers a lot. The supplier has not been paid then? He's still
No, they have
waiting
not been
since
paid.
since July to be paid?
That is correct.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Boyle?
This will get us through January 18, 2022, correct?
That's correct.
So what's the plan? I mean, do we have a plan moving forward?
Yes, there is a plan. Jeremy Mio is here. There is a plan to move forward to transition into other services that we have here. He can speak more to that.
Yep. Jeremy Mayo, Department of Information Technology. As I was here last week, we have a lot of security services contracts. We're trying to consolidate those contracts. We also have done a lot over CARES and COVID to ramp up other types of monitoring services, as well as provide more automated monitoring services without need for these type of services. This is a managed security provider that does 24/7 monitoring services for some of our gaps. We're trying to close those gaps and go out to more consolidated services. So in the next 6 to 12 months, you'll probably see me here trying to consolidate services, get a single pane of contract and security services, so we make sure we're all under, I wouldn't say one contract, but the most consolidated contracts we have.
Because we've been with, what is it, Sigilant, or is that what it's called, Sigilant?
Yes.
It looks like since at least 2013, correct?
Correct. So when we were in 2013, we only had one FTE within the security services internally. We have now ramped up to over 6+ internal analysts and engineers. So as we're going up, we're kind of growing out of some of these, I would say, typical third-party managed services, and we're going to more of, the next level of services. When I talked about break glass contracts, like we had the one last week, so those are some of the things we're moving towards, as well as trying to automate with more technology and try to utilize all of our stuff, specifically our Microsoft technology.
Okay, and then the last thing, and so as I look at the intro of this, it indicates that we were looking for, it's going to monitor the county's IT environment by the county staff and certified Sigilant subject matter experts. So the contract is with Sigilant, so are we having Sigilant people monitor their own work? I'm not sure that I follow. What is a Sigilant subject matter expert?
So how managed security services work is that there is and I'll give it a whole probably 1,000 employees, maybe not 500,000 employees Sigilant has, and they're monitoring not only our environment, probably other entities. So it's a managed service.
But they're our vendor, and they're also monitoring their work.
No, they're monitoring our logs. So
Okay.
we send all of our certain information, events, instances, things like that, and they monitor that 24/7, and they're able to provide that first level of support. So when we get, say, 15,000 alerts today,
Right.
they're kind of going through, hey, these 3 alerts, or these 10 alerts, or these 500 alerts you must look at specifically with your internal staff.
I got it.
Yep.
I have a question.
Councilwoman Baker, please.
Yes, and I know that we've put a focus on internal security overall, and this is ending 1/18/2022. So are we vulnerable at all as we make these transitions and these types of securities are coming off?
So the current level of support that Sigilant provides is what I call a tier 1 support. So they're looking at initial events. We've automated and we've gotten a lot of automation as well as staff to do that internally. So we're pretty comfortable transitioning. We're going to be RFPing additional services, that next tier 2 and tier 3, because as much as we might have security staff, we don't have the budget or really the want to have expert staff on payroll. We do have staff that's expertise in certain areas, but we're never going to have hundreds of experts at the county. So we're going to be RFPing for that next level of service. Sigilant provides some of that, but it's really just tier 1. So when we go out to RFP, which Sigilant is well can also bid upon, they can bid on that RFP, but we won't have any vulnerable services between them. We can take a lot of those in-house, and we've been working to transition the services they currently provide to in-house.
If I may, will you be coming to us with some critical mission type of ask because you're trying to get this done quickly, or do you see?
No, we will come with an RFP at some point. I don't know when it will reach the Board of Control. It might also, depending on the amount of consolidated service, also go to council. But we don't look to be doing any mission criticals in January or anything like that.
You don't look to be behind and asking us for? because
We
of
are
things-
migrating data off of it because it's archived. We believe that we're in current to be able to get that ourselves. So I don't think if anything comes up, it would be about that migration of data. But I don't believe we'll have to need to come here again for
Okay,
that.
all right, thank you, appreciate it.
Sure. Any final questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next
Thank
item.
Next item, BC 2021-677, Court of Common Pleas Corrections Planning Board, submitting an amendment to an agreement with Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County for residential treatment services for offenders in connection with the Adult Probation Substance Abuse Residential Treatment Program for the period January 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $500,000.
Good morning, Marty Murphy for the Corrections Planning Board. This particular contract or agreement with the Adams Board is in support of residential substance abuse treatment for offenders. Most of the offenders that get into this programming have opioid addictions and end up being long-term. Additionally, we also accept those that need more than just 30 days of treatment, and right now the insurance companies are, when an extension is asked for treatment, they generally will give maybe a week, and some of these people need 60, 90 days depending on how severe their illness is.
Okay, thank you, Marty. Are there questions from the board on this item? Yes, Councilman Baker.
I asked in the backup, or I should say in our advanced questions, about it being a Sixth Amendment. Is there a reason why we don't go back out for an RFP? Why is it that we keep adding to the original?
Thank you, Councilwoman Baker. We are actually in process right now. We've been in communication with the Adams Board. We have had discussions with all the offenders. We're trying to make the next one, rather than an RFP, just to include all 6 adult residential treatment providers, which would give us an opportunity to have more beds available and perhaps get people out of jail quicker. So there is one in the works in our January, our next year's will incorporate those new vendors.
Okay, that's good to know. And if I may,
Yes, please.
this doesn't begin until July 1st of 2022, which is about 7 months away. Is there a reason, do you have the sufficient funds now and you can wait till 7/1, or how is it that?
No, That's, he's
Or is
he's
that
a
not-
couple, he's a little bit, he's behind on presenting it. So this started July 1st of this year,
This year.
and it goes till June 30th of next year.
Oh, I see.
Am I,
That is
oh, I
correct.
apologize. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yeah,
My bad.
okay. So this ends 6/30/2022, so this doesn't end until June
It should extend it out to 6/30/2023, correct?
Okay. But this original contract doesn't end until June of next year,
Correct.
right? So I guess I'm just asking,
He needs the money,
We,
probably.
we actually won't need that extra year anymore because we are in the RFP process. So it could be amended to say, or to actually remove that piece. As right now, we go through 2022, 6/30/2022.
so you don't need to extend it to June 30th, 2023?
No, we don't.
No, you don't.
So Marty, is there an early, sorry, Councilwoman, is there an early cancellation? Because to start changing that now would require all your paperwork to go back through.
It will not.
Can you terminate at any time?
We have a 30-day option in our agreements with the Adams Board.
Okay, I'm glad you can end it sooner, but, in order to keep the item moving, I would hate to
Yeah.
stop it now if he has that 30-day out.
I'd kind of like to keep it too, and as I'm thinking, if there are services that are done in late June, they may not get invoiced and back to us through the routes they have to travel until maybe July or August.
Okay, it just looks unusual to me, maybe not.
I think
Does
you're,
it look unusual to you?
Say, I hate, if I may?
yeah, please.
And I apologize.
No,
I-
it's all right.
I hate to be the guy that says, wow, this is terrible, you got your contract in too early. Because
Well,
that seems to be out of character for what
maybe
we
that's
do.
why it looks unusual.
But it does seem, if you're doing an RFP, Marty, and the current contract doesn't end till June 30th, 2022, I'm not.
He needs the money, though. He needs cash. I'm assuming that you're adding 500,000, so it's the money that's,
Not adding the five, I mean, I assume that we've already contracted out and appropriated money through June 30th, 2022.
but it says, and for additional funds of $500,000, so he,
And to extend the time period. It's
right, it's both, right.
But the time period's not really needed, just the,
Yeah,
just the
okay,
money.
I'm sorry, Councilman,
Yeah.
yeah.
That I don't know, yeah.
I would keep it in there just to cover us. We'll still go with our set two for year 2022.
You're comfortable with that, Mike?
I'm comfortable in the fact that he has a 30-day out, and if he's indicated that you're doing an RFP right now, that once that comes in, you'll terminate and then go on to the next one. My whole thing is, if there's money that needs to get paid by the end of the year, I would hate to hold up the vendor, because this would then have to go all the way back through the system again, and I'm just concerned of that. That's my only fear.
Presently, we do owe money going back till July 1.
Yeah, so that's what I'm figuring. It's more about the money than it is the timeline. And that's my opinion.
Adams has, testimony was pretty clear that Adams has a good chunk of money floating around. I doubt that they're gonna go belly up over 500,000, but if it's the right thing to do, I get what you're saying.
We actually, and I've had that conversation with the Adams Board before, because they get a tremendous amount of money. And the reality is, and they just put out their list, they RFP'd everybody in their network this past summer. With their funds from county, they are all already allocated. And for the Justice People, we have it in there separate and not as a piece of giving it to them, because there are times when we want to get somebody out of jail yesterday. A lot of times where they've had the diagnosis, they're being held until a bed comes open or anything like that. And we want to turn them pretty quickly.
So can I ask, is there a hurry to get this done? I mean, do you feel?
I do feel that we should get this done.
Okay. If we waited a week so you could confirm the timeline, or are you saying that the 2023 is?
Let's keep it at 2023, and
Okay.
we'll close out that contract once we've
Okay.
finished out the 500,000, if there's anything left.
Okay. I feel okay. I understand what you're saying, knowing that he has a 30-day out, and I would be good with that. You know, that's my comfort level.
Well, I know it's certainly for an important need, and we certainly don't want to we want to make sure you have the adequate funds. It just looks odd to me, that's all, to approve something that doesn't end until July 1st of next year, and adding another 500,000 until 2023. But I hear what you're saying, and if you're good with it,
I
Mike,
am, otherwise,
then
I just don't want to risk not getting a payment by the end of the year if that's what needs to get done, versus, you know, with the limited time we have left. I just would like to, I'm good with it with the 30-day out.
Okay.
Councilman Miller.
Is this $500,000 provided for in the biennial budget that's currently pending?
It is, Councilman Miller.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions on the item? All right, I will make a motion to approve the item as is. Do I have a second, please? Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2021-678, Court of Common Pleas Corrections Planning Board, recommending an award and enter into an agreement with Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County in the amount not to exceed $86,000 for mental health treatment and clinical services for the mental health program. for the period July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022.
Marty Murphy again. This is our contract with the Adams Board. They utilize recovery resources for this. Historically, this has been a 2-year award. Like the last one, I want to explore more of the options in mental health. Maybe we split the contract, maybe they give it to someone else, whatever. But we are having those conversations in the court right now as to what might be ideal. We're also looking at potentially bringing in Kelly Petty from the Board of Developmental Disabilities because that piece of service is not covered with the SMIs, and sometimes we'll have people that are developmentally disabled plus have the mental health, and they should probably have a little piece in this also. So this will also be a different look next year.
Hey, Marty, thank you. Questions from the board on this item? Please, yeah.
So I'm trying to read through your explanation as to why this is over 4 months late. It sounds like it's gone through quite a process. This is only good until June of next year. Do you have enough time
We
to
we
follow through
absolutely
on
do.
the mission? Okay. Okay.
Sure. Additional questions?
It's listed as general fund. I mean, is there, I'm surprised that it's not a levy dollar. I mean, do you have any, I mean, you don't have to, I mean, obviously, I should say obviously, I think moving forward on this makes sense. I'm just curious to know if you know, Marty, why are we using general fund dollars rather than any of the other available pots of money?
I don't know, and I'm very comfortable putting it into levy if that's a more appropriate
I'm not
place.
asking, I'm just wondering what the decision-making
Sure.
was.
It wasn't on our end.
I'll follow up.
Do you have an answer for that,
I
Mike?
couldn't, I don't. I don't know.
It may be that that's historically where it's always come out of.
I mean, it's not a significant amount of money. I don't mean to belabor it. It just seemed like it would be a natural fit there, and I was surprised that it wasn't. But don't worry about, I mean, I don't want to speak for any of the board members, but I'm fine moving this forward, and I'll follow up with an email with the folks. to
Yeah,
see
let's
what the
follow up,
history is.
okay.
Thanks.
May I ask, as long as
Yes, please.
I know we're off the one before that, but would the one before qualify for an HHS also?
I would say they would, and I apologize, I missed that, but I'm just trying to understand why it would be general
They
fund.
might be in levy now. We at the Corrections Planning Board would not know that though when we're putting this. We just know that it's not any of our federal dollars or state dollars. So it may well be levy already.
Well, should that be changed then, or does it matter?
It's gonna matter how we approve it. So, Marty, would it kill us to hold both of these then for a week to find that out? I know, I want to get this right. Otherwise, if we say general fund, you're gonna have to come back and amend it. I'd have to get Walter up here. Some of them may.
I was gonna say, rather than, I mean, we're coming up to the end of the year, I don't want to belabor it, but that's something that we can.
Do you think you can make a phone call, Marty, and come back in?
I will do it right now.
Yeah.
On both 677 and
Yeah,
678?
let's get this straight.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. We can always recant that approval if we have to. Yeah,
Yeah,
yep, awesome. All right, next item.
good catch.
Okay, next item, BC 2021-679, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an award and enter into a contract with Clearview AI Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $9,995 for a web-based social media and open source image recognition and alert platform and 6 user licenses for use by the Northeast Ohio Regional Fusion Center for the period November 23rd, 2021 through November 22nd, 2022.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety, and this is a replacement of social media and open source services that are used by the Fusion Center. We did go out and solicit quotes, and we're making a recommendation to the lowest cost vendor. As this is grant funded, Ohio EMA has reviewed and approved the award.
Okay, Mary Beth, thank you. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank
Next
you.
item.
Moving on to exemptions, item BC 2021-680, Department of Public Works, recommending to amend Board of Control Approval Number BC 2020-646, dated December 7th, 2020, which amended various Board of Control approvals, which authorized an alternative procurement process resulting in purchase orders to various providers for medical, surgical, and animal care services for the period February 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2021, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $150,000.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works. This item, we're just looking to amend. We have an alternate procurement with the kennel for emergency services, similar to our factory authorized exemption, and I think we have one for concrete as well. The $150,000 we're requesting is just allowable funds. When we do have a kennel emergency or service with the kennel, those do come back to the board as a purchase order. We're just looking to extend this alternate procurement through next year, add $150,000 of allowable funds.
Dog care is very expensive. Are there questions from the board on this item?
Not a question, but Tom and I dealt with an issue. Now, you probably don't even remember. I mean, I apologize. I can't remember the woman who runs the kennel, but the work you guys do and the flexible, I mean, you guys have to move quickly.
Yep.
I mean, on
Yep.
all these things, and it
Yep.
takes a lot of time and energy. And
It does.
You guys, it was very helpful to sit
Yep.
down and realize
Good.
what you guys deal with, and so I
Yep.
certainly appreciate that.
It's very fast-paced, and, you know, there's a lot of services, and there's a lot of variables that go into the kennel that people don't realize until you actually see it. So, you know, when they go get dogs that have been injured, hit by cars, or shot, or something happens to them, they need to immediately respond. And Mindy, she's the kennel manager out there, and she does
Yeah.
a phenomenal job. So.
Yeah, she's great.
Yep.
I couldn't do it, but yes.
The facility is, I mean, it's fantastic. I recommend to anybody, if you have some time, I mean,
Absolutely.
it is definitely
Yep.
one of the
Yep.
best things that
Yep.
the county is going, so,
Yep.
thank you.
Good. Additional comments, questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Do we want to jump back real quick, if that's okay? Mr. Murphy, did you have clarification on the funding source?
I did receive clarification, and it is in fact funded out of general fund and not levy.
Okay, okay. So with that being said, we're back on 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to make a motion to approve again. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. So
Thank
we'll
you.
move back to 681. Thanks, Marty.
Both of his, or we already approved?
We already approved the first one. Yeah.
Right, my apologies.
Next item, BC 2021-681, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, requesting to amend Board Approval Number BC 2021-223, dated May 10th, 2021, which approved an alternative procurement process resulting in payments to various municipalities in the total amount not to exceed $150,000 for reimbursement of eligible expenses of personnel costs associated with Cuyahoga County's COVID-19 vaccination efforts, by changing the time period from January 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2021 to December 23rd, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. No additional funds required.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. And as Sharon has explained earlier this year, you did approve a alternate procurement that would allow us to reimburse those municipalities that partnered with us to do county-sponsored vaccination clinics. In processing the reimbursements, it became apparent that there were some clinics that had occurred actually before January 1st. These were that municipalities had assisted with. Specifically, they were the clinics that gave the vaccination to the first responders and the healthcare workers that were going to be working at the public vaccination clinics. We did get 2 reimbursement requests for that, with which we would like to process, and that's why we're asking for the change of date.
Okay, thank you, Mary Beth. Are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to consent agenda.
Moving on to consent agenda items number BC 2021-682 through 683.
Okay,
You were jet-setting Nicole English for a long time.
let's delve into that, please.
Yeah, I think the group has several questions. I'm just kidding.
I think it's Just one
very
day?
long-
Is that,
It's
wow.
2 very long days. So we leave on the 8th at 6 a.m. We fly to Nashville. We spend the day in Nashville. That evening, we're flying to Raleigh, spend the day in Raleigh on the 9th, and get home about 11:30 at night on
Wow.
the 9th. So
You couldn't do a bus trip?
You know, it is interesting, Councilwoman, that, in light of Nicole's new public relations team and some of the kudos she's been getting on the
Oh, yes.
All County website, I would think her fee would go up
oh, thanks. You
considerably.
could tell the
I guess
director.
They're lucky they got you early.
He's
Right.
donating that to the
Right.
animal shelter.
There you go.
So there was a question about the sheriff attending, and he is not, neither of these places have the sheriff's admin building on site, and he's deferred to Rhonda and her team as far as for the jail operations, so.
I do have a question, not a
Please.
question, but a comment more
Yeah.
about it. Obviously, it is essential that our team, our county team, be in a position to make best case decisions on what we want to do for our jail. Mike, it's not a concern, but it's more of a comment, is I assume that the facilities you're seeing are HOK facilities, correct?
So I believe one of them is what they did, they are coming with us, so a representative from HOK, and then also a rep from PMC, our owner's rep is coming.
Okay.
They're paying for their own travel, so that's why it's not, you don't see it here.
What I wanted to make sure that we weren't moving to was that the consultant was taking us to the consultant's project. There's
No.
I mean, obviously, there's a new jail in Columbus that I don't think HOK, I mean, we could drive there, and I just want to make sure
Yep,
that we're on record, that we're not going to see only HOK projects, because while I'm sure their work is good, there are other people in the jail building industry
right.
as well.
No, they're not. Actually, Franklin County, Rhonda was scheduled to go this week, and we just got a cancellation email. They have a COVID case, so they cannot host us, but we will go to see Franklin County as well.
Indianapolis
And-
should be on the list as well.
Right. And so there's a couple others. These were two that have some features that we're looking at in our jail, as far as direct supervision versus what we do now, low level versus high rise. So there's a couple things that specifically in these two jails that we want to go check out. And then also as part of the tour is probably only going to take a couple hours itself. The rest of the time is going to be spent sitting down with folks on that side that kind of pair up with ours. So the jail administrator meeting with Rhonda and her team to talk about lessons learned, transition, things to consider, how they, run certain pieces of the jail. So it's not just the tour, it's actually sort of this sit down and interview time with their team that's going to be super helpful as well. And then they do have, I think in both locations, someone following us around taking photographs so then they can protect their security, but to hand them back to us so we can bring that information back to the rest of the team to share with them that can't come.
I just get leery when I see that the vendor is taking us on a tour of the vendor's facilities, because I find it difficult to believe that the vendor would say, boy, we really blew it on the Nashville project.
Right.
mean,
Yeah, I think that-
it becomes almost a sales call rather than an open thing. And if you're telling me that you're seeing other jails not built by HOK, then that.
Yeah, I think that host is kind of I don't know if that's just a field we have to fill in, but they are not really the host. The hosts are the two jails that are taking us around.
Okay, very good discussion. Yes, Councilwoman Baker.
If I can ask, the IT person can perhaps ask or answer, give us a thumbnail. The Barracuda that is part of our emails that we received, 44,000 and 14,000, that's on the open market purchases. Can you just explain, how do you decide what belongs in Barracuda and what doesn't when we receive those on our own emails? Or am I not just, and this is something completely different?
This is Jeremy O, Department of IT. That's something completely different. It
So
is
Barracuda
the thing that you're
Networks?
talking about is the same vendor.
Okay,
The email gateway appliance here is for our on-premise email systems. So, for instance, when you get court notifications from the court systems internally, when you get any type of other systems that the county has internally,
okay,
like probate court or a lot of court notifications, other things are internal systems like our ticketing system and other things that are housed internally.
Okay.
It needs a gateway to email out. It's not the email appliance or subscription that we have for our Office 365 email.
Okay.
However, with that said, it is still Barracuda that offers
Right.
that service. That's a separate contract.
It is, separate contract.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is a hardware appliance. The one that you're talking about is a software subscription.
okay.
So Jeremy, how does stuff go into the Office one? What decides what goes into the Office Barracuda? Just for FYI.
Anyone that emails anyone at cuyahogacounty.us is filtered through our email, both system and defenses. One layer of that is the Barracuda,
And what
but
would
that's not any of these items here.
what would snag it to go to Barracuda versus just coming in normal, I guess? Is there something in the email that would? Because I get the same thing. I gotta check. You know.
There are about 50 different policies
I
that
got
are
you.
set there, as
Okay.
well as threat intelligence that comes from global as well as local information that could flag that. So we could have that. I would take that discussion offline.
No,
if
I'm
we wanna
fine with
cover
it. I was just, believe me, the vast majority that go in there are what I would call garbage anyways, but there are every now and again something I would push through, so that's fine, all right.
Right,
In there, every employee has the ability to modify that list individually. So you can either whitelist or allow those domains individually. That goes to the your Barracuda quarantine, if that's what you're referencing.
Yeah, the quarantine one, okay.
Yep.
Good,
Okay.
that
I was
helps,
just
yeah.
curious,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, at this time, I'm gonna make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as listed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Today's consent agenda is approved. Moving on to other business?
No other business?
No other business?
Make a comment.
Yes, sir.
I do see that the law department, or the law library folks are here, and I do think, I don't have any question, you don't have to get up and everybody should go to the fourth floor of the old county court. It is a beautiful facility up there. They do a great job, but it is stunning architecturally. And they do a great job. I saw them here, and I don't think anyone had any questions about the
It is
work.
beautiful. I actually studied for my CPA exam there many years ago. Nice and quiet up there, so.
Studied
Yep.
for the bar exam the first 7 times I took it.
I haven't been up there in a long time, but I know it was gorgeous, so. but
beautiful.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, at this point, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.